Michigan lawmakers have passed a bill into law which bans all insurance companies in that state from covering abortions except in cases where the mother's life is in danger. There's no exceptions made for in cases of rape or incest. If a woman in the state wants a procedure covered at all in any other circumstance by her insurance company, she will be required to purchase an additional, what is being called a, quote, abortion rider, which is an additional insurance that she will have to pay for. This law supposedly allowed opponents of abortion to avoid paying into plans that may cover abortion, which I find interesting. Where's the freedom of the insurance companies to decide whether or not they want to cover abortions, and where's the freedom of people who are buying insurance to have things that they need covered by their insurance plans? Anyway, this bill forces women to anticipate the possibility of being raped, and now they're open to the possibility of being blamed if they get raped and didn't plan ahead. Senate Minority Leader Gretchen Whitmer, a Democrat from East Landing District, said, "Make no mistake, this is anything but a citizens' initiative. It's special interests groups' perverted dream come true." State legislators passed this bill last year as well, but Governor Snyder, a Republican, vetoed it. And he said that it's not appropriate to tell a woman who becomes pregnant due to rape that she should have selected an elective insurance coverage. Anti-abortion group Right to Life of Michigan, however, disagrees, and they collected over 300,000 signatures from citizens of the state, and which pushed for a second vote on the issue. And since it passed both chambers, it automatically became law without the governor's signature. 80%. It's at this point 80% of private plans cover abortions in most circumstances. But 8 states have recently passed similar laws as Michigan has just passed on abortion coverage with abortion rider alternatives, but of these states, only 2 of the states actually have made the riders available to insurance customers. So they require a certain alternative form of insurance, but they don't provide the insurance. Several Democratic lawmakers tried to fight this bill from going into law, of course. They shared their personal stories of miscarriage and abortion during the debating process, and many became quite emotional. State Representative David Nezik, a Democrat, called the whole law misogynistic and said that, quote, this body is made up of 80% men. This body made up of 80% men will make a decision that will impact 100% of women. So what do you guys think? What's your reaction to this?
It's just another case of usually old white men making decisions for women. 80% men in the Michigan legislature that is making decisions for 100% of women. That's striking. And then the next thing that actually is striking to me is what Gretchen Whitmer had said, Senate Minority Leader. This tells women who are raped that they should have thought ahead and planned for it. That's what the GOP actually thinks. Hey, it's your fault, man. You were asking for it. You wore your skirt too high up, or you were immoral. You were in the wrong place. That's your problem. That's not our problem. Ridiculous.
Well, and Jeff, you know that becoming pregnant from rape isn't even possible. You know, women have magical
that's right.
that shut themselves down during rape, so it's impossible to get pregnant.
Yeah, they can shut that whole thing down.
Okay, so I want to make one an irrelevant point before I make my serious point. But technically, this won't affect 100% of women. Some women are old and can't have kids anyway already, but I'm just saying. But anyway, back to like the actual point of this bill is that it's just like I remember we originally did this story like way back when Schneider vetoed it, and or when he was going to veto it, or when it passed House or whatever. And I said the same thing that I said that I'll say now is that if you want to buy an insurance plan that doesn't cover abortion services, like 20% of the plans in Michigan did before that, then you're perfectly free to do so. But you can't ban people from buying the insurance that does cover it. Like that's ridiculous. And then you require a separate underwriter for your policy that it's just going to be an added cost. It's for that one procedure. Like most people are logically going to say, well, why am I going to I'm going to pay premiums all this time for one procedure that I may or may not need to avoid a potentially one-time cost. Like you're just not, you want them to pay for abortions out of pocket. Which, by the way, a lot of women do that anyway. A lot of women go, when they get an abortion, they go to the initial screening, to figure out that they're pregnant, and then pay out of pocket because they don't want it on their insurance records or whatever. But you shouldn't force them to do that. Like that's not right. Like if you want to have two different policies, and if you're a crazy Republican who hates abortion and you don't want to fund it in any minuscule indirect way, you buy the policy that doesn't pay for it. But if you want that coverage, you should be able to get that without buying a separate underwriter. It makes no sense to me.
Right, and let's not gloss over the fact here that that look, these anti-abortion measures, these anti-abortion bills, disproportionately affect poor women. Just like Sean said, most people, if you got money, this isn't any sort of barrier for you. You can go out and get it anyway. So this stuff like this and other anti-abortion legislation always impacts the poor, the poor, and I think that's targeted by design.
Of course, absolutely, and Sean, I love it when we can actually agree 100% because it is absurd, because it makes no sense. Because what if I decided that I didn't agree with heart bypass surgery? What if I decided I didn't believe in Prozac, or I didn't believe in
penis pumps?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, a lot of health plans do cover erection pills and penis pumps.
Right. So what if I decided I didn't want to pay into an insurance a company that covered things like that in other people's plans? And that's absurd, isn't it? That mentality of, I mean, can you even imagine ever caring about the insurance company you're paying into, caring about what other people are being covered, and what procedures are being covered under other people's plans?
Well, I mean, this is going to come to one of the points I was going to raise, is like I said, somewhere in the article, over 300,000 people signed this kind of petition in the state saying they wanted this to happen or whatever. And it's like, it doesn't matter if everyone in the state signed it to happen. Like, it's just not like, let's say people decide, like you're saying, like, it's part of my religion, I'm allowed to kill non-believers. Well, it doesn't matter if I get 1 million people to sign my petition to allow me to do that. The state is there to stop these things from happening.
Here's what's funny about that, Stephen, is that we have this emergency manager law here in Michigan, right? And we had a citizens referendum on this, which means we went out and we got signatures, the same thing that this Right to Life group went and did. And we overturned the emergency manager law. And then guess what? The state came back and put it back. So, the state has that power to stop this law. And they won't.
Well, that's just ridiculous. And the other second point that I was just going to make quickly is that these same people, I mean, I don't want to kind of confuse kind of economic values with social values and what have you, but these are predominantly going to be the same people who go kind of free market, free capitalism, let's not have any regulation, let kind of competition run free. It's like, well, this is putting, regulations is not allowing a free market to happen. 80% of the kind of insurance providers, they had places where you could get rape cover, and there was that 20% that was serving this minority of, well, not all of them as kind of nutters who were maybe signing up to that 20% that didn't cover rape, but these idiots could go and get that 20% or shop in that 20% market, and they just decide, no, we want all women to suffer, be in our situation. It's just abhorrent what they've done.
Well, I'll be as slightly fair to the people who advocated for this law as I could possibly be. And like the real problem is, or not the real problem, the real problem is that they passed this law specifically banning this coverage when private companies, if they want to offer it, they should be able to offer it. But the real, like one of the problems in our healthcare system is you get your healthcare through your employer. So you don't really get to choose whether you're part of a plan that covers certain things. So if we had individual-based plans, like tax incentivized the same way employer-based plans were, you wouldn't have this problem of people, like if you bought a plan that covered abortion and you didn't like it, you fucking bought it. Like it's not that you just got hired and that was the plan that you got. So like I get that feeling for the people who are actually earnestly pro-life, but again, you're passing a law to save yourself whatever tiny percentage of an abortion that you might theoretically be paying for. And you're hurting a lot of people because some people won't get it, and if there's emergency situations, they could die. Like it's just not a good law to pass.
Right.
Oh,
Absolutely.
and I also want to plug the National Abortion Federation, which is a charity that will help you if you're in time of need and you need to get an abortion. They'll drive you to a clinic. And I know Republicans' heads are exploding because there's a charity that helps you get abortions. But yeah, National Abortion Federation.
Hey, if you enjoyed this clip, make sure to like and leave a comment below, or even share. Sharing is caring. If you want to see more TYT Nation videos, go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/TYT Nation. Thank you for watching.